Hey everybody, David here. I hope everything is awesome with you. Oops. So, I have a free weekend. And when I say free, I mean my brain isn't working well enough to do writing, so that means I have 2 whole days to do Minecraft. And I thought, let's see, may I try to see how much of this project I can get finished in one weekend. So, let's see. Wish me luck, and cue the music. welcome back. You know, sometimes, particularly with the UCL build, I just stop and I stare, and it's amazing what you can do with just blocks. I mean, this thing is huge. I haven't even put the roof in, and it's huge. Like, if I go down to the ground, it is huge. Ginormous. Like, huge. Just mind-boggling. And what I find really amazing is this is actually smaller than the real thing. It's actually smaller than the real thing. And look how huge it is. So cool. Anyway, we are at the halfway point. There were a few hiccups. Like, the roof of this thing, I never quite get angled roofs the right angle. It takes a few goes, which is amusing. So I've got this side and the front side done. At least without the roof. So that's some pretty awesome progress. The inside is like pretty much blank. Blank filled with torches. But I'm hoping to actually use it as a set for one of my short films that I'm still trying to work on. So until I figure out what I want it to look like, it'll stay boring on the inside. Not to mention, that is a lot of interior work. Particularly as I don't actually know what's on the inside of the real building. Same problem as the quad and that's the medical, like the swanky medical college part of UCL. All that, they're all much smaller than the originals. Also, I'm only working with Google Maps, and I don't know if you noticed, but Google Maps is really good for Street View, but not so good for from above. Everything's rather blurry, and you kind of have to guess, for example, what's in these gaps here. I will make something interesting of the insides. I think in real life this might actually be a stairwell, because there's windows at this end, but nothing at this end. I mean, unless it's like double elevators or something, I don't know, or triple, because it's quite big. Or, you know, what's the word? You know, the technical, behind the scenes, you know, plumbing and electrical stuff department. But, as I said, halfway. This episode is quite heavy on the montage, but the whole point is to try and get as much done as possible on a weekend. So we'll see what happens in the second day. So, wish me luck, and cue the music again. I'm back again. You might have noticed the view is slightly different to the end of the montage. And this is kind of my fault. I been so brain numb, I actually did not press go on the recording for the replay mod when I did this section. So at the end of the montage, you noticed that this bit was probably blank, you know, if you're detail oriented like I am. And now it's done. So I can't do much about it. It was not recorded. I am not going to go and strip down what I did and then redo it again. But those two sides that I've done this weekend, I actually collated how much replay time it was. Now the replay mod, you could vary speed and stuff like that. And both days worth of replay mods, which is I think about 7 different sections. My Minecraft has conniptions if I have a replay mod file longer than about 2 hours, so I have to stop and do new ones. It was an hour total, but I run all of my I record or render all of my replay footage at ×8 speed. And this time I actually did all of I added 8 times speed to that 8 times speed so that you only had to see it and all of that in like 7 minutes. So it was 8 hours of work, not including the section I didn't manage to record. I tend to measure these things in how many like TV series episodes or movies, or in this case Pratchett books, audiobooks I listen to. And I listen to soul music and Interesting Times. It was kind of 3/4 of soul music and all of Interesting Times to do everything. So I think this section took me about 3 hours, going by the fact that most of the Pratchett books are about 6 or 7 hours long. Right, so we just have the one side left and the roof. So I'm hoping this side doesn't look particularly complicated in Google Maps. From what I remember, there isn't even extra stairwells. Thank the gods, because I really hate doing those stairwells. They're really fiddly and I always get them wrong. I spend like 3 hours on the damn things. So I'm hoping that the next episode will be this side plus the roof. Because quite frankly, I'm kind of sick of it. Maybe I just need a break. I don't know. So we're almost done. It's taken a lot longer than I thought it would. I mean, it is pretty big, and I would not want to do it in survival because the amount of bricks in this thing, and diorite and black stone and the quartz. Quartz is such a pain to grind for. I hate the nether. I always die. And those ghasts are creepy as heck. This would be impossible. If someone said, hey, why don't you do the quad in survival? I'll go, no. No, I'd rather do the agency tower. And the agency tower took me 2 years in creative. So this would be annoying. Actually, it'd be more annoying than quartz, because clay you'd need, I suppose you need clay to make bricks. I mean, that kind of makes sense even if you don't play the game. But before the Lush Caves update, it was really hard. Well, you couldn't get this much brick. This is a ridiculous amount of brick. But with Lush Caves, it's absolutely full with clay. So it might be possible, but no. No thanks. I'd really rather not. Too much nether things. But it's almost done. And there are a few extra bits that need doing. Like, I don't actually know what's in... See these gaps? I've got, like, a gap there, and a gap there, and there's all these gaps in the sort of cross-sectiony bits. And, like, this one I added doors from the X areas into the side areas. But I don't even know if people use that space. I don't even know if it is a space. I'm only going by, as I said earlier, on the Google Maps. This area at the back is confusing because it's in the street view. There's a rather great big thing here. You can't go further to see details on this side from street view. But there's like a driveway inside, which is hard because this level is only, 3 blocks above the normal street level. So I put in a ramp so it goes down. And then I just put walls because I have no idea what's in here. And then in Google Maps, there's like cars parked in here. But I still had to do a ramp up because I presume if there's cars here, there's got to be, doors. And if I was a designer of this thing, I would put doors here because, it's an interesting bit. But there's all this little details that I don't know. Because I've never been to London, and I'm used to New Zealand stuff. We don't have a lot of brick because New Zealand's quite earthquake prone. I live in one of the few areas that aren't. Although if Auckland blows up, because it's mostly volcanoes, I'm going to be squish. I'm going to be mush. But I'm not familiar with these sorts of this building style. So like there's in the Google Maps and on the street view, there's a path, like, footpath or pavement. I can't remember what Americans call it, but footpath in New Zealand. And then there's like you're at eye level at the top of buildings of windows. So the bottom floor is lower than the street. We don't really do that here. I mean, they might do that in like Christchurch, but I've only been to Christchurch twice, so I have no memory. Both times I was very young. But I'm going to be looking at different details and try and make it as close on the outside as I can. If only to give visual hugs to my best mate who went to UCL when she sees it. I still haven't quite decided on what the roof should be made of. I thought copper because, copper's awesome, and it's got different kinds of bricks, so you can get more complicated shapes out of stair blocks and slab blocks and big blocks, and then you've got the copper. So you got slabs, and then you've got the 4 different sort of stages of oxidation. So you've got all these different colors and shapes and cuts and stuff. I thought it would be the most sort of useful thing to make it out of, and but I actually don't think it's a copper roof because it's black, but slate doesn't really work as well. So I've got a lot of thinking and designing to do. But I'm quite proud of it. I like how it looks, even if the inside is just, flaws. But you can actually get from the top to the bottom. Not so much here. I haven't put stairs up there or anything. I was going to turn this into a stairwell, but I thought I'd see if I could find anyone that knows what this bit does. Because it looks weird. It's actually narrower, I think, than the real one. But it was hard to get the shapes and all the other, pardon me, bits that get out and do stuff like these sticky outy bits. There needs to be a gap. But making real life things in Minecraft, you can never get it perfect. The only way to get it perfect would be to do it like 10 times the actual size that it is. Firstly, I couldn't do that. The ceiling is at about 300 meters. I think 320 or 310 or something. So unless I did it all the way to the bottom, it probably still wouldn't be enough, because the bottom is, I don't know, negative 50 or negative 60 or something. So it's still not even 400 meters at the tallest. So there's no way to get it accurate. You've got mostly 1 meter by 1 meter blocks to make everything out of. So it's all an exercise in sort of artistic play. But I'm really happy with it, and I like how it looks. I like how I've used the white and the diorite to just break up the brick. The strips on the actual building are quite narrow. They're usually they're like half, maybe a third that width, but it just sort of breaks up. If it's all brick, it'll all be one shape, one color. It'll be really boring to look at. So it sort of breaks it up nicely. And the slabs here, these 3 layers of slabs, are actually very narrow, very, very thin on the actual building. They're more like visual lines than actual sticky outy bits. But I think it also adds to the shape, particularly in the rendered with the my brain is dead. The pretty making modification with the lighting. I'll remember eventually. So see, it makes shadows and changes shapes and stuff. It doesn't look all the same. You can see extra little bits of detail here and there and stuff like that, and I quite like it. I hope people who have actually been there can at least in some ways recognize it, or will once there's a roof on. But I think that's a lot. It's a lot done. This side and the back side done. I don't know if I've done this wall thing properly. There wasn't a very good view of it. I don't know why they have it's like an additional privacy wall. But that's okay. I'll just hate noticing an error. Anyway, time for me to rest my brain. So, until next time, ara ni tasa.